Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How are you guys? Going to take a look at the break-evens in a moment. I'm about to do my trades for this week. I'm thinking Dacos probably goes, and I'm thinking probably Josh Ward. I'm thinking Hugh Dixon might get named, and I'll just bring in Rioli and Timmy Taranto. But that probably brings me... We'll start with the other break-evens, because most of the discussion this week's been about Rioli, Hamilton, and Carroll, and even Clark to a lesser extent. I'll focus on probably more of the top three. I got stacks of questions on the live session about who would you rank in terms of necessity with those first three fellas that I said, and I'll leave Clark a bit out of it because he's only played the one game. I'm doing this a smidgen before the final teams are named, so I'm guessing Dixon will be named. I'm guessing Clark will be named. But yeah, just want to touch on, because as you can see, Rioli put in two ripping scores for a cash cow, minus 92 break even, minus 82 for Carroll. Had a bit of a bigger score in the first week, but Hewitt is named and so is Carroll. So maybe the job security issue that I raised earlier isn't as necessary or relevant. And then you've got Cooper Hamilton there, minus 63. And not sure where the big ruckman there from the Eagles is at. Can't remember if he got named or not, but obviously he's sitting with a reasonable break even. Clark, McComb is also, he's not too far gone if you want to jump onto that bandwagon. Begg would be a bit of a unique one, probably one I don't feel we need to be jumping on board. Cooper Stevens got dropped, so that was disappointing. And then we sort of I speak a bit of Darcy Cameron in my preview video. I've timestamped that one if you want to check it out. But I think Rioli's the must-have, and so is Clark. So over the next 2 weeks, you've got to find a way of how does Rioli get into my side this week, and how does Clark, if he isn't in your team already, get into it next week or even this one. Carroll and Hamilton, I'm probably not red hot on either. Carroll's been very popular, but I don't know. Carlton are a strong team. He's a young fella. I just get the sense, I don't know, it's a gut feel thing. I don't know if he'll be in the side in 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe he does establish himself, but he could equally be dropped next week. Hamilton, he seems like to be a part of that back six at the Giants and relatively safe and sound, but he definitely doesn't have that scoring ability. He just looks like your classic 3 or 4 tackles guy and 12 to 16 touches kind of operation. So he probably looks consistent around that 50 or 60, but it might take something out of the ordinary for him to go big. So I would definitely say Rioli on top, and probably with the dual position element, I'd almost go Hamilton. I think that could come in handy at number 2, and then Carroll number 3. So I think that's pretty much all you got to think about. Obviously, we'll know a little bit more as the final teams do come out, but let's take a look at some of the fellas with massive break evens. Callum Mills, pumped out some whopping scores throughout the year, but more recently just scored 60. Still got a price rise because of his massive couple of weeks prior, but he's going to come a long way down, and he is well up there. So even when he does come down, he's still going to be reasonably expensive, but break even of 201. Tom Mitchell, gosh, what's going on with him? He's managed now. Not sure he's someone we need to consider anymore. Jack Steele, put in a below par score for him. I'm backing him for a little cheeky VC option. And then otherwise, there isn't too much to really discuss of guys to just keep on your radar. I will say, I was talking about Sean Darcy a few weeks back. All of a sudden, he's shown exactly what he can do. We talked about Luke Parker a couple of weeks ago. He's since shown what he can do. I just want to put Tim Taranto and Mitch Duncan on that watch list as well, and Aaron Hall as well for a few weeks' time. I just wonder if Duncan can be back to his really best form, and he turned up against the Giants, racked up a stack of possessions, particularly in the first quarter. So I just want to, just keep him in your thought process. He'd need to do it again to really show us that he's here to stay. But I'm really red hot on Taranto. I think at 480, a bit like Parker, I think he's too good to refuse. I'm all over it. I'm really keen for him. And just Aaron Hall, if you've got 5 defenders down back, 5 premiums, I reckon you could just about hold off for just a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and say, I'm going to get Aaron Hall, who I think is a top 3 defender, for less than 490k. That's a dream. So pretty straightforward this week. Nothing too fancy. Not too many stories from Shorty, but we're keeping it basic. I've I've had a bit of a long day just trying to study, and it just hasn't been happening for me. It's just been one of those days where you sit in front of the laptop and it's just not really happening for you. So I've been, lugging away, trying to get a little bit done, but it's been a little bit frustrating. So I'm keen to hopefully knock off a few more questions while this uploads, and then hopefully see Hugh Dixon name. That'll be great. And then hopefully have a good weekend ahead with plenty of good footy, SuperCoach scores, and a few little beverages on your Saturday night. So I enjoy hearing back from you guys soon. On my to-do list this afternoon is also to get back to a few of your comments. That'll either be before I head to the driving range or after. So, stay tuned for that. But all the best for the week ahead, and I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.